Welcome to the Dope Dad Podcast. This is an unscripted journey for those who are invested in parenting. There's no judgment, there's no BS, just honest conversation about what it really means to be a dad today. It's raw, it's real, and it's unapologetically dope. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. You are tuned into another episode of the Dope Dad Podcast. I'm your host, OJ, and today I brought backup. You already know we're out here in Mesa, Arizona. Shout out to Podworks Studios, my producer, Bill. Appreciate you, bro. So today, man, huge deal for me. I got one of my oldest friends since I moved to Arizona. Dude, I was thinking about it earlier. We probably have about 16 or 17 years history. Not to date myself, but yeah, dude, it's been a while.
Yeah,
The math checks out, bro.
Yeah, we were like young little characters.
Yeah,
when we first
still drinking together and all that. Good friend of mine, former coworker. We've worked at a couple different places together. But an outstanding parent. It was only right that I brought you on the show. My close homeboy, Steve Faulkner. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's up? Hey, thanks so much for having me. And being a dad has been one of my life's greatest joys. To the point where I would have done it when I was younger if I would have known how great it was.
Yeah.
But so really great to be here and to connect and to get to talk about our daughters and our experiences, and just really excited. I love talking about my daughter. So
hell yeah, dude. That was the inception of all this, right? Is that we end up talking about our kids and telling stories and just being dads, and it's a great joy for us, right? Oh, there's got to be a platform for other dads who want to hear about that or share experiences and talk about that or know that they're not the only one that went through some shit.
Yeah, 100. I mean, yeah. Is it always easy? No. But have you ever felt a love like the one you do for your kids? No, definitely
not even. So you were a little bit older when you had Olivia.
Yeah.
Let's start from jump. Introduce your daughter. Who's your daughter?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, my daughter, her name is Olivia James Faulkner. My father's middle name is James.
Okay, that's what's up, family.
My middle name is James.
Okay.
And my daughter's mom, Rhonda, was cool enough to let us, we decided, hey, it doesn't matter if she's a boy or girl. Like, let's just pass that tradition and that name on. So Olivia James is what we call her. We call her Olivia James. That's kind of her little nickname. And hey, if she ever wants to be an entertainer or something, she's already got a cool little name.
You know what's funny? So her initials then are OJ.
Mm-hmm.
My initials are OJ. I've been going by OJ on the show.
Okay.
That's how I've been introducing myself. So, it's a little bit of a different spin, but it's funny. Like everybody in my entire dad's side of the family, everybody calls me OJ. And so when I wanted to do this, I was like, a little, tribute to my grandma and everybody on that side of the family. So
yeah, that's what's up, man. But yeah, she's been vivacious is the word I would use for her since she was tiny. Just outgoing, constantly in motion, dances, just everywhere she goes, and she's a happy-go-lucky little human, man.
You know what's funny? You said if she ever wants to be an entertainer. I remember her coming over to the crib with me and wifey and the girls, and she was young, but she was probably like 3, I'm assuming, and my wife and my girls all remember that she was doing like concert after concert, like doing like performances for them, and they were like, bro, it was the cutest thing ever. I don't remember that shit, but like it really, like they 100% remember that, and I'm sure you've got endless memories.
She likes to be the center of attention.
Yeah, dude.
Still.
I mean, a lot of people do. How old is she now?
She's 9. She'll be 10 in June.
Damn, double dib it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's just been, what a journey. What an amazing thing. And what's really crazy too is you watch your kids get older is like they're who they've always been, but it just evolves, I guess would be a good word for it. But like at her core, she's always been this particular person. And it's been interesting to watch that unfold.
Yeah. It's wild to watch the growth and the independence and the opinions and all of those other things start to evolve.
She knows more than I do, which is really helpful sometimes too. So it's great.
Yes. I understand how that goes, man. School?
So she goes to a Spanish immersion school, which is pretty cool. So it does make doing homework a little more challenging. I have to pull out my Google Translate and be like, okay, what is this question asking? Mm-hmm. But it's very cool for her to be getting exposure to that at such a young age. Is she fluent in Spanish? No. But can she speak some Spanish? Can she read some Spanish? can she sing a lot of songs in Spanish?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
The answer is yes.
That's pretty dope. It's tough, man. If you're not, I like the immersion school because it forces you to use it on a daily basis, right? And we all know that repetition is the key to learning anything. Foreign exchange students, for example, you get sent to another location, you're in another country, you live with another family, and so obviously, like, you learn that stuff, you retain it, you eat the food, you use the transportation or whatever the case may be. Because in our house, my wife speaks Spanish. She speaks Spanish to me and the girls. We know when she's pretty upset. I know certain trigger words that like I'll pay attention to.
Yeah.
But we're not forced to use it every day, man. And so even though my daughters are half Mexican, the Spanish doesn't come nearly as easy for them. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so I was hoping for all of us, honestly, like it's probably on me too that I haven't really submerged myself in it and really pushed it. But I was hoping that we would all be like, this Spanish speaking, family that, fluently we're just like in stores and we can just speak to each other in another language and shit. It's not like Spanish is so,
That would be
secretive,
cool.
but it would be cool.
I know, that would be very cool.
Yeah. All right, dope, man. And she stayed with you. She stayed with mom. A little bit of half and half.
Yeah, half and half, and not ideal. Like, I wish I had my daughter all the time.
Yeah.
It's definitely challenging, but I think the silver lining, the thing that I take solace in is the fact that she's really never known anything different. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just kind of always been the modus operandi, she to this day, when it's like, okay, cool, you're going back to mom's place, she's like, okay. She's just very kind of go with the flowy with that, which is good. It probably affects me more.
Oh yeah, 100%. I came from a divorced home. My parents divorced, I think I was like 9 or 10, and bro, it was like earth shattering.
Oh,
like disruptive to everything that I knew, and immediately like fighting back, who I wanted to spend time with and stuff, which I don't think I really grasped the magnitude of how hurtful that probably was for whichever parent I was not selecting. But yeah, that's tough for a kiddo, man. And the fact that she doesn't know any different is probably a lot more beneficial for her and her environment.
Her mom and I also have a very we put her first, like very dope co-parenting styles between us, and maybe TMI, but like we don't even do like the court like child support thing or any of that. We just worked everything out.
And that's, dude, honestly, that's why I think a lot of stuff should be, right? Like, communicate, man. Use words, like show empathy and help each other. Shit doesn't always work out the way that it's supposed to, but it doesn't mean you have to be mortal enemies, right? Like, you both love this person more than anybody else in the world. You share some common stuff, and so I think there should be some,
100%.
Some peace treaty, to be in the middle. But
if when you bring a kid in the world, like it's time to put them first.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You gotta make sure that their well-being is at the forefront of all decisions, in my opinion.
That's huge. Coincidentally, I worked with two of your daughter's step brother and sister.
Yep.
So I worked with Amaya and I worked with Elijah, who are like exceptional children.
Such cool kids.
I really enjoyed my experience working with them. Amaya was an incredible worker and just a really awesome kind of like energetic, magnetic personality. And Elijah was still like, he's soul searching, man. He was like a teenage boy when I knew him, but he was just fucking cool, man. He was fun to be around. He had good energy.
Kids running track for the Arizona State University now.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what was super cool? So when I grew up, everybody was like smoking and drinking and doing drugs, and both of them as teens were
Great
cool as
kids.
shit and both drug free,
100%.
drug and alcohol free. Like I love that about them, man. I thought that was so cool.
100%. And then she does have one other sibling, Noah. So yeah.
Who I haven't worked with yet, but I'm soon.
Yeah, someday.
I'm assuming at some point I'll end up working with her.
Yeah, she's getting there. She's just in high school now, but
yeah, I think I saw her at Saguaro, like at some type of graduation. Did she go to Saguaro?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So my nephew ended up graduating from Saguaro, and I saw her there, and obviously unrecognizable because kids change so quickly, and we look the exact same.
Her brothers and sisters. She's the baby of the family, my daughter. So they they look out for her. They take good care of her. Like I love that relationship that they all have together.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
dope.
that's pretty cool.
Very cool, man. So you and I were talking, obviously about the podcast. I told you kind of like what it was about, some of the topics of discussion, and you confided in me about a relatively life-changing situation that transpired with your kiddo. And I thought that was like a really good topic, man, because as you and I discussed, man, I have, some kind of maybe similar experience, not nearly the capacity that you do, but I wanted you to get an opportunity maybe to share about, the accident that your daughter had, how that affected you, man, the long-term effect that it probably still has on you, man, and I guess just how you navigate parenting after a potentially life-threatening scare.
Yeah. I'll give you all the cliff notes really quick and then I'll dive into it.
Sure, dude. Yeah.
Bit. So cliff notes are, there's a park right near our house, and after school, I decided to start skateboarding again. What's up? And,
Do you still do it?
Yeah. I still
How's that
skate.
lower back, bro?
It's, the falls hurt a little more than they used to, but, and my daughter, she loved riding her scooter. And then my partner, Kirsten, my girlfriend, and her daughter, we all love going to the park, in the afternoons after school. And, so that was just kind of our normal flow. And we're coming back one day, and Kaylee, who is, my partner's daughter, this was about, I don't know, like 3 years ago. So Olivia would have been like, I want to say she was like six or seven. And Kaylee was about like 10 or 11, somewhere in there, maybe 12, 10 or 11. And we're coming back from the park, and Kirsten and I are kind of together, and our two girls are, I don't know, they're like maybe 40 feet in front of us, like not far, like just a little bit up there, and super well trained in how to cross the streets and look both ways and everything else. So we see them get up to the crosswalk, and they're looking both ways, and a FedEx truck had pulled up and stopped. And our kids are like, okay, cool. They stopped. We have the right of way. So they proceed. Kaylee crossed the crosswalk, and my daughter was behind her. And as I'm walking, I see this FedEx truck start to drive and turn left. And this van, truck, whatever, it accelerated right into my daughter as she was riding her bike across the crosswalk. I can still see it in slow motion, and I see her riding, and I yelled out at her, Olivia. Thank goodness she didn't turn around or hear me or whatever. She was hell-bent on getting across that street. She didn't see the van. It hit her, and she flew 20 feet. The bike was totaled, and had she heard me and slowed down, she probably would have been run over.
Underneath the vehicle.
And I saw her move. I saw Olivia move, and this van just kept driving, and I ran after that guy. And I don't know if any of y'all other parents have ever experienced that thing where like someone's trying to harm your kid.
You turn into a superhuman.
You like, I wanted to harm this person a little bit, and the adrenaline was kicking pretty good. Got him to stop. And I'm like, what are you doing, bro?
Just oblivious to the fact that you just ran over a fucking kid?
He's like, I heard something. I'm like, yeah. And the guy had to have been looking at his phone or something. FedEx has never taken any ownership or responsibility. I've tried to get attorneys because my daughter wasn't like seriously injured. They're like, there's not any money in it. So FedEx, sorry. But yeah, they even tried to blame me like it was my fault. Like, anyways, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, it was crazy. And
so you watched this in slow motion.
I watched it happen right in front of me, and seeing her cross. And when I was watching the whole situation the whole time, and our kid did exactly what they're supposed to do. When you wait for the cars to stop.
Yeah,
and then
thus acknowledging your presence,
and then you go, and that's exactly what she did. I was shocked when I saw that van start to move, and I couldn't totally tell if she was going to get past like far enough until I saw the impact. And yeah, and like, you know, it really, I mean, it's probably had more of an effect on me than her. She was hurt, man. Like the ambulance came and all that. She had scrapes, but like no broken, like the silver lining in all this is that my daughter is fine. Okay.
Yeah, she's here.
She's here. She was fine. She came home with me that day. She was running around you know, that's the silver lining. But like psychologically, she was afraid for, you know, a good couple years solid if we were in a parking lot, to cross streets, to be around cars that were in motion. And for me, it really destroyed, maybe this is the silver lining, it really destroyed that feeling of like, it can't happen to me, that invincibility thing. Mm-hmm. But it also like kicked something in for me, that this feeling of like wanting to protect everyone that I care about, my daughter especially. You know, like I'll just give you an example of something that never would have happened prior to this, but I went out and got myself a 9mm, and I'm like, I'm going to carry a 9mm around when I'm with my kid, because you just never know what's going to happen. Yeah. So like, you know, and so I keep it in a locker. It's like, you know, it has to have my fingerprint, all that, very safe about it. But like, that's something I never would have even done or thought about prior to this. Like something just kicked into me where I feel the need to protect her at all costs. Yeah. At all times. Be ready for anything.
How else has it changed like your parenting style? Because what I know of you as a person and as a parent is you're empowering, bro. Like you provide the tools for the person to succeed, you know, and whatever that may be with your child. You're like, hey, I believe in you. You can do this. Here's your resources. If you're interested in doing it, do it. Like, has it made you more reserved? Are you?
I think to a degree, yeah. Like I tell my daughter all the time, like, hey, I love you. My job isn't to do things for you. It's to teach you how to do things for yourself. Boom. And that's what I tell her constantly. But I gotta say, yeah, like I think maybe prior to that, there were times where maybe I was a little too, you know, I grew up in a time where you ran around the neighborhood. I was riding bikes without any adult supervision wherever I wanted to ride from the time I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up.
I didn't even think they made helmets till like 96, bro.
Dude, never wore a helmet.
No.
Like, and just would go cruise all over the place. Like literally wherever, whatever, every day, constantly. Did that my whole life, all through junior high school, like just, and so, you know, like I'm not going to helicopter to that degree. I'm just not going to do that. But yeah, my guard is up more. I'm more cautious. You know, I do a lot of outdoors things. I think I may have traumatized my daughter when she was younger by maybe doing some things that in hindsight, like, yeah, she was maybe a little too little of a kid for this. Like that might've been scary for her and stuff. So really just trying to learn some of those kind of things. But yeah, I mean, it really just, it definitely changed me for sure. It changed me, made me more fearful, I think, a more fearful person, generally speaking, and more cautious.
It's crazy that you can't really like shake that emotion or that.
Just talking about it.
Yeah,
like,
that fear that you can't protect them from everything, man. And the reality is, like, it's a crazy fucking world. Anything could happen, right? But then you're so worried about other things happening that the least likely thing happening shakes you to your core, because you're like, holy shit, I didn't even consider that, right? When we were talking, I think I told you, man, like, oldest daughter eating a sandwich. We were in Puerto Rico, you know, a 10-hour flight at least away. Thankfully, she was over at Marcy's parents' house, and she choked on a chip. And it was like, you know, it was lodged and it was going down. And she's had that issue before where she's just like, oh, I took too big of a bite or something. You know, like kids do, man. You know, you just
adults do that.
yeah. Drunk and eat a whole piece of pizza, you know. But she ate this chip, man, and it was like, you know, sideways and it was going down. She's like, you know, it was like killing my throat. Like, oh my God, I could feel it poking, and then just collapsed into her food. Like just collapsed. And went into kind of like convulsions and almost like a seizure, and had to get the Heimlich from Marcy's dad, which no bullshit.
Saved her
Like
life.
he saved her life, dude. And I think about that, right? Like, you know, you can't help but run the what ifs in your head, right? What if I wasn't there? What if she had turned around? What if the FedEx driver was going just a little bit faster? Whatever the case may be, because what if she was at home with her sisters and not at my in-laws' house? You know what I mean?
And someone didn't know how to do the Heimlich.
But that's the thing, right? Like, how many of us actually know how to do that or would be able to respond accordingly in that situation? You know, is it the stomach? Is it the sternum? Is it too high? Is it too low? Do they need to be hunched over? Do they have to hold their arms? Like, dude, unless you're trained for that shit, like, the reality is a lot of us aren't really prepared to deal with a situation like that. 100%. And it was crazy the way that it affected Carradine, probably like instilling fear the same way that, you know, with Olivia, it instills fear. And all of a sudden you have like uncertainties about where to ride, when to ride, what cars are doing, what to eat, how big of a bite to take, whatever. But the people who witness it, it's life altering, because both Krisha and G watched it happen. And I remember talking to them on the phone on FaceTime, and I'm like, yo, are you guys okay? Yeah, I'm like, are you guys okay? And I remember the look in their eyes, dude, that's their big sister.
Yeah.
Like, that's their big sister. And for them to watch that happen, and I was like, yo, are you okay? And they're like, no, just like sobbing. I'm like, fuck, I can't protect them from that.
Yeah.
I can't take that fear away.
It's every parent's worst fear that something like that's going to happen. And then when it does happen, you know, even when you cheat the worst results, now you know how close you can be.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, we live in Arizona, dude. There's pools everywhere. There's pool deaths every single year, right? It's hot as shit. There's children that die in vehicles every single year, you know? And we hear about it and you read about it and you're like, how? Like, how is that possible? How was a child left in a car? Like, how did a child have access to a pool without a fence or whatever? But how does a child get hit when you're there? Like, how does a child choke when there's people there? Like, it happens, man. And the reality is, like, you know, we can prepare for that, but we can't really prepare for, I guess, the aftermath, you know, and what happens and how you address that, you know, because I became super protective. I'm like, fuck this wedding in Puerto Rico. I'm coming home. I need to see my daughter, you know, and there's nothing that I can do at that point except try to like run interference and mitigate whatever type of emotional damage. But the fact of the matter is, man, it's a different world, man. Like, they do active shooters at school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are drills.
It's crazy.
You know, where our kids are taught what to do in case somebody has a firearm on campus and how to barricade and lock doors and stuff like that. Like, the world's changing. You know, the fact that you purchased a firearm, bro, like, we live in Arizona, man. I'm an advocate for firearms. You know? Like,
yeah. I mean,
I'm all
the
about
Wild
that.
West. You know, you can just cruise around with a gun, no problem.
But also, like, people's behavior is more erratic and unpredictable. And how do you prepare a child for that? So Carradine, you know, is almost 17. She wants to go out to parties, right? The more you pull, the more they push away, right? And so you have to establish some type of foundation of trust and boundaries and say, okay, like, let's find something in the middle. You can go, you're back at this time, right? We establish trust. But it's not even about the kid. It's about the things that you can't control, right? It's about the driver. It's about the predatory dude that's, you know, trying to get your girl drunk or whatever. It's about the person that blows a red light, even though they have the green and they're following the rules of the road and they're driving safe just like you taught them. It's their lack of awareness and somebody runs a red light and can take them out. You know what I mean?
100%, man. I mean, their frontal lobes aren't fully formed yet, you know? And even though when you're that age, you feel, you know, pretty well equipped and you know a lot, like, but yeah, it's just a different perspective when you're the parent. It gives you, like, when I think back to when I was a kid, I sure do have a different perspective on
how many times have you said sorry?
Yeah. Like, yeah, 100%, you know.
There's been so many times that I call my mom like, hey, I'm sorry. I remember that I did this to you, and man, I can only imagine how that must have affected you.
It's funny though, something you just, like, your experience with her choking while you were in Puerto Rico, like I experience that now. Like, if I go out and I do like a backpack adventure, like for like a few days, few nights in the middle of nowhere or something, sometimes I'm like, I feel like almost this sense of like guilt for not like even if not my week with my daughter or whatever, I feel it, especially if it was my time with her and she's with grandparents or whatever. But like, I do feel that. And I wonder if that's one of the reasons why I feel it is because I don't feel like I can be there to watch over and protect as much.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we were in Florida one time. My wife had a work conference. Florida's amazing. You been to Florida?
I used to tour in a band and I've been all over Florida, and there's parts of Florida that
Okay, yeah.
there's parts of Florida that aren't as amazing to me.
Let me
but
rewind that. I've been to the coast of Florida, which was amazing. I went to Fort Lauderdale, which was amazing. I went to the Florida Keys, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So I haven't gone too far inland. I can't speak to that. It may or may not be amazing, but my experience in Florida was amazing. What I'm getting at is, dude, it's way different than the West Coast. The water's warm.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful. It's inviting.
Yeah.
The beaches are like nice and clean, and you can go out. Like when the tide's out, bro, you can go out so far. Literally probably 75 yards. I'm out here and I'm still up to my waist, and I'm a little dude, man. So I'm like, yo, this is great. Because the West Coast is cold and rocky and unforgiving, like you look at the water, you don't really go in it as much.
Yeah.
But so we're out there and, it's me, Mars, and Krisha, and I'm holding Krisha, and the other two are swimming, and we're like getting further and further out. And all of a sudden, Mars is like hanging on to me, and she's like, yo, I'm having trouble touching. I'm like, okay. And the waves are like crashing. I mean, it's the fucking ocean. It's not like we're in a pool here. You know what I mean? And they're coming in, and the two girls, the older girls are like swimming around us. And they're like, oh, this is so fun. And I'm like, fuck, I'm struggling to touch.
Rip current?
And I'm holding a child, right? And so I'm like, as my toes are going down, and I'm like paddling this way, and I'm like, girls, come on, like hurry up. And it's probably one of the most panicked I've ever been in my life, is because we're going out, and we're being pulled out. She can't touch. I can barely swim, especially with a child, and I've got two other kids. And like it got to the point to where I was like, yo, fucking grab me right now. And again, that like hero super strength, I just started like swimming back in as hard as I could with 4 bodies attached to my body in the ocean. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, like that's how quick it happens, right? That's how it happens, because you're not paying attention, and all of a sudden you bit off more than you can chew, and now you're in a weird environment where you don't have an out, and just like that, an entire family disappears in the water. Right? Like it's so crazy. And it's that same thing. Like, dude, it's not going to happen. We're on vacation.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen on vacation, bro. Like things don't happen like that, but they do.
You don't know about those things. I grew up surfing in high school. So you don't know about those things until you know about them and experience them. Like you don't, like riptides, future reference, if you're ever in one, swim sideways, because it usually is going out to the ocean and you want to get just out of it to the sideways side.
Go laterally as
go along the beach. But kids, like having kids in that moment with that.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's so hard. I don't know if did you have to like consciously be like, okay, stay calm?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes in those situations you're just like,
oh yeah, panic overwhelmed me, and I was like, yo, I have to stay cool. And I'm like, and my kids don't know what's going on. I'm not like, we're drowning, but I'm like, hey, grab me. I'm not playing. Like, I'm not asking, I'm telling, grab my neck. Like, we're going in. And so, like scary. At that point, it's like, focus face and doggy paddle like crazy because I got bodies on me, but dude, it was
nature's people underestimate it often. I've seen some crazy stuff, man. I've seen like almost like a tornado in the bottom of Glen Canyon, which is the north part of the Grand Canyon, that lifted like boats up, and like you got to respect Mama Nature. If you're ever out, hey, let's go for a hike. Hey, like please take a little extra water. Please take something warm just in case if it's a chance you get stuck at night and it's cold outside. Be smart. Take a little extra snack. Take a flashlight or a headlamp. Like take a first aid kit. Like these are the things that you don't think about, but things can happen fast.
Absolutely.
Very fast.
So here's like fast forward now. Oldest daughter's like, hey, me and my friends want to go to California for summer and, rent an Airbnb. I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm super conflicted because I don't feel like she's there yet. But in a year, she'll be 18. She don't have to ask me. You know what I mean? Like, lawfully, she doesn't have to ask me. Obviously, we have a different relationship. You know what I mean? But like theoretically, I mean, she could just go if she wanted to. And so I'm like, man, it's that weird situation where like, okay, how much freedom do you give? And what happens in that scenario if I'm not there and I'm not the voice of reason? I'm not the logical one that's thinking, right? Like,
That's the balancing act. That's so hard, but at the same time, there's a thing. This is I don't know. I'll just give you an example. When my daughter was really young, we used to go do hikes. We went to this place called the Tonto Natural Bridge. If you don't know about it, look it up. Place is awesome.
Okay.
One of the largest natural land bridges. It's right past Payson. But we're hiking, my daughter by this point, she had hiked quite a bit. She's little, but she knows what she's doing and she feels comfortable, right? And I kept noticing all these adults were like, Joe, and she's just climbing over some little rocks and stuff. And I'm always right there too. Like, I'm not just letting her go do crazy stuff. But here's the thing though, before that, we spent time at playgrounds, right? And you know what's going to happen? She's going to fall. And that's how she's going to learn her limits and that hurts. And you don't want to do that. So there's that element. Every problem has a gift for you in its hands, right? So, and that's how we learn, is by making mistakes. So there's that element of we have to let our kids fail too. We do them a disservice when we don't let them learn lessons that can only come from failing.
Yeah.
So how do we let them fail without, something catastrophic happening?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where it's at.
Yeah, the tricky balance that there's. It's like a riddle that's puzzled people for centuries, and there's no answer to.
Well, I think it's a different world, though. I think, just my generation, I was a grown man before there was an internet. I remember when there were no cell phones. And just in this one generation, my generation, everything has changed. Every kid just had free reign, carte blanche to just go run around and do whatever. Mm-hmm. Literally every kid that I hung out with also could just, we'd have to be back at dinner time maybe, but then we'd all be back out after dinner, cruising around, running around. Kids got their driver's license, they got a car, they drove around, and it was just a different world. And so I think I think sometimes maybe it's we in this world where if something bad happens, it can be so amplified. It can be so in your face. Everyone knows about it. It's always those things have always happened. It's just, I think the awareness level is different now. And I think the way that we respond to it can be sometimes kind of stifling to our kids in a way, and kind of we have to allow them to grow and go out there and fuck up.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, 100%. That's it's tough, right? The balance, and I think that it might be a little easier, question mark, if we're growing up, or if we were raising children in a similar time to when we were growing up. We're like, oh, this is familiar. I know how I navigated this. This might be a similar path for you. But everything's fucking different.
Everything's different.
Everything is different.
Now, here's the other thing too. Do you have any sisters?
One brother, no sisters.
Same.
Yeah.
So having a daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Even my best friends growing up, all of our moms were teachers, weird, and none of us had a sister.
Yeah.
We all had brothers. So even just raising a daughter for a person who hasn't had the experience of having a sister is interesting in itself. There's a thing there where, and there's something to that.
It's fucking crazy.
Girls are more mysterious.
I said that in an earlier podcast, and I talked to my producer Bill about it before. I'm like, I feel like everything that I thought I knew about girls and women just got factory reset. Bro, you don't know shit. Good luck, pal.
And what we knew was,
here's a survival bag, man.
Not a lot.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
But but it's interesting, man. I'm actually really, really grateful to have daughters. The connection that I have with each of them is so fucking special.
All three. That's amazing. Yeah.
Dude, all almost in their teens too, which is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
I still don't little. Yeah.
Dude, our oldest is working.
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy. She's already worked at multiple different spots, and
so crazy.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I think the connection that a father has with a daughter, if they're given that opportunity, is really that bond is so special.
It is.
And like a mother and a son, you know what I mean? If that that option is there, man. That connection is like, you can't fuck with it, man. Like it's too deep. It's too strong, right? Like
100%.
I know that you have a close relationship with your mom. I had a close relationship with my mom growing up and all that stuff too.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
amazing. Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean 100%. And that's the thing too for me is that like the word connection, like that's what I'm all about having with my daughter is a real connection with her. My daughter can be herself. My daughter can like I openly embrace her. I encourage her. And yeah, like it just finding things. It's more challenging with the age gap that we have. There's like advantages to being like an older dad, but then it's, like some cartoons probably aren't as cool to me as they would have been if I was like 27 or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, just finding those ways to connect. And I think the way that my daughter and I have connected, we like laugh, we giggle, we watch funny. Now that she's getting older, like I'll watch all her little funny little content with her and we just laugh.
Oh yeah.
And, but also like told her since she was the tiniest little thing ever, like she can tell me anything, even like when she tells like a little lie about something, she doesn't want to get in trouble or whatever. It's like, you're not going to get in trouble. Just be real. Like just own it. Just go, hey, yeah, like, yeah, I didn't do my homework. Like, okay, cool. Like, thanks for the honesty. Appreciate it. We needed to be doing our homework. Like, but just, I don't ever want my kid to feel like she has to hide things from me because that benefits how.
So for that approach, which I respect, I love, and I feel like I take in a lot of ways too, do you feel like you have to be more cautious about how you respond to shit? So if she lied, you found out that she lied, are you more cautious about how you respond to it so it's not like an explosive response or like an overreaction or?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to set an example of overreacting, and I always try to be cool, calm, and collected and measured with everything. But I mean, the thing is for me is it's not the lie. It's how do you teach someone to take responsibility for their lie? Like it's about, okay, like, hey, like, doesn't it feel good to just kind of like own it and just get it off your chest and go, hey, like, and we have a chance now moving forward not to repeat the mistake again.
That's dope. I like that approach.
And so like that's kind of where my head's at with her. Those are the kind of things that we try to connect over. Like when who hasn't lied? I mean, let's be real, Like yeah, so just really trying to and if she has something that and like it's important too, like I might have something going on, I might be busy. And she might be wanting to tell me about this thing in a cartoon, okay? And I'm like, that's important to her. So I'm going to stop and go, okay, yeah. Like, I try to stop and go, hey, yeah, what you want to tell me matters. And that you want to tell me something is pretty cool, so.
Dude, this is crazy that you actually just said that because 2 nights ago, I sat down with my entire family at dinner. I try to be home for dinner. I always cook breakfast. I think that shit's important because that definitely was missing from my life. But we're all sitting there. And I brought up the fact that I was like, yo, as you girls are getting older, you're changing quick. And I feel like there might be a connection gap. Like I don't feel as connected to you. And if I ask you what's going on in your life and you give me the minimal and you're just like, nothing, how's school, good, then I feel like I don't know enough. I don't know enough about like what's going on in your life. And maybe something fucked up happened. You just don't want to talk about it and you're not willing to share that yet. But I want, and I dove into that. I want that if something's happening in your life and it's important to you, that you know that it's important to me as well. And if I've been, poorly exemplifying my interest in your life or that I'm not giving you the attention that you deserve, like I want to do better. I want to be a more fucking active dad. I want to be here for you as a soundboard. I learned a long time ago, man, when my wife starts talking, I'm like, hold up. Do you want advice or do you just want a listener? Because sometimes she just wants me to shut the fuck up and listen. And I think that I can like solve her problem. And it just like, dude, it makes shit way worse.
She just wants you to go, baby, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But right, like
that sucks.
I'm a dude. So I'm like, yo, I should fix this.
Yeah.
And that's not what she's looking for anyway. So like to circle all the way back, I'm like, yo, I want to be a good listener if that's what you guys want. I want to be able to help find solutions and resolution if that's what you guys want. But it's really cool that you just brought that up because honestly, like it helps double down on my perspective of, a foundation of like involvement. right? Like I want to be involved in my kids' lives.
It's funny. My daughter, even like she's only 9, but like we have such open, honest communication between us that like she'll be like, Dad, now's not the time for a life lesson. And I'm just like, heard. Cool. Yeah. No life lesson right now. Gotcha. Like she'll just tell me like, I don't want a life lesson right now. I'm just like, understood.
That's what's up. Yeah. It's to be applauded, right? Somebody who knows what they do and don't want in life, you know, like self-identifying is fucking huge, man.
Yeah. But no, yeah. Like it is like, like connection takes effort and work sometimes. And like, you know, like, and even like, you know, something that I found to be effective because I genuinely like want to know about my daughter's school day. Mm-hmm. And I used to kind of get some of that too, but I've like rephrased the questions of like, yo, like what kind of drama happened at school today? Or, hey, like, you know, what was like the dopest thing you guys did today when you were on the playground? Like what was the most fun game you guys played? Mm-hmm. Something more like that than that's fun. And, you know, and then she'll be like, this drama, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Like, you know, I mean, you know, the drama is real with these 9-year-old girls sometimes.
With girls in general, because honestly, you ask a guy, in most cases, at least my experience growing up, I don't have kids that are boys, so I can't really speak to it, but I'd be like, homeboy talk shit and he got beat up. And then we played basketball. We played horse. Yeah. But homeboy has like a big ass black eye now.
Yeah.
And like, oh, so they're enemies? We're like, no, of course not. We're all friends.
No, it's all good now.
You just needed to get popped in the mouth, you know? But it's tough, man. Like it's really tough, dude. Honestly, I think the hardest part about school for the girls is trying to fit in and finding out where they fit in. And as their wants and needs and stuff change, man, like I do feel like that's really challenging path to navigate, man. And I realize too that I can't really control any of that. I'm just a bystander. Mm-hmm. And so I have to kind of listen to the same things that have happened to my oldest happen to my middle, and the same things that have happened to my middle happen to my youngest. And I'm like, man, fucking relentless.
It's a tough time to be a kid with all the social media and like images constantly bombarding them of like what supposedly is. Yeah, it's tough. It feels like a tough time to be a kid, man. And like I used to like people used to have to call me on a landline phone, and I could not answer that phone. But now it's like
I feel like everything moves really fast. Yeah, that's what it is too for the kids. You know, like I remember when like Jinko jeans and all the baggy shit came out. You know, and that was cool.
It's back.
Yeah, it is back. That's actually probably why it's top of mind. But it was cool, and it was cool for like a fucking decade.
Yeah,
bro, like it was cool.
Yeah,
and that was it. Right? There wasn't a lot of other shit going on. In the 80s, punk rock, spike hair, you know, bad boy club, like all that stuff, acid wash jeans, like it was cool, and it was cool for like a decade.
Yeah.
But now there's something that's dope, and it's a cool trend, and it's like as soon as you like spend all your money and work your ass off to get it, it's gone. Like it's not even cool anymore. And it's like onto the next fad or onto the next meme or this, that, or the other thing. And so everything really is, I feel like it's a rat race to try to like fit in or blend in or find out where you're at with your little societal group here. And
we had like the kids that we went to school with who you were like, okay, like they're wearing that or whatever. These kids have like 10,000 YouTubers, millions of TikTokers constantly like, you got to have this to be cool. Mm-hmm. Like we just had like, you know, David Schwartz like that. Yeah. Like, or like, you know, like we had a few kids like, that's a totally different thing now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and like 80s movies, like those kids didn't, like, you could tell adults dressed them to try to look like they were cool. They weren't cool. Yeah.
No, yeah. It's funny, dude. With finances and stuff, like, do you feel like you get Olivia the majority of the things that she's looking for? Do you teach her about spending? Are you cautious about overspending or giving her too much stuff? Like what's that realm like for you?
That's a great question. And that's something that's like, I think constantly evolving and in flux and all that. You know, I trained her like from a very, very young age. No, you don't just oh, I want that toy. No, like to the point. And if she would like start to have a meltdown about it, I would just be like, okay, now we're losing privileges. Like, you know, so my daughter learned at a very young age, like, to regulate that stuff and to like, you know, like just that it wasn't going to happen. To this day, when when we go to a playground or something, I'm like, hey, Liv, it's time to go. She's like, okay. And we dip. Because if I never get upset, I don't yell, I don't get mad. But when she was little, if we were going to leave the playground and she threw a fit, I'm like, well, we just lost. We're not coming back tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, there's another day we're not coming back. And that was effective. It worked. Yeah. But yeah, with the finances, so it's funny because my daughter, like, she gets money for certain things, gifts, whatever. She has a bunch of money right now, but she's learned how to like
not spend it.
Yeah, she's learned how to not spend it. Yeah. And
it spends different when it's yours.
It's pretty impressive, And now the game is like, hey, Dad, can I get like 10 Robux or 20 Robux or whatever? And the answer is never gonna be yep. You know what it is? It's, hey, like you were awesome last week. Like you were so great last week. You sat down, you busted your homework out right when we got home. You took your dishes back to the sink without me even having, I didn't even have to tell you. Of course you can have 10 Robux. Here you go.
That's
great job, kid. And but also we do probably have conversations too that we've started to have conversations that I want my daughter to be financially literate. I want her to understand how financing something works. I want her to understand how money works. I want her to understand, hey, if you have 10 grand and you put it in the bank and leave it there, that 10 grand is going to be worth a lot less in 20 years, 10 years, 20 years than 10 grand. It's still 10 grand. You just can't buy nearly as much stuff. So how do you take that 10 grand and grow that 10 grand so it keeps up with the price of things? So we have conversations like that quite a lot. And she's not that kid that has to have. For Christmas this year, she's 9. For Christmas, she's like, I don't know. She's like, I would love to have a guitar because I'm really enjoying my guitar classes at school. She's like, and maybe just I don't know, some candy and Robux. She's like, why don't we give some of that to some other kids or something? Or she's never been raised to where things are, superficial things are something that we use to fulfill ourselves.
It's interesting. I wonder if that's because even though she has siblings, they're older siblings, and so it's probably much less of a competitive environment, right? To where she's kind of being like a young single child right now, or only child.
Way, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if there's multiple siblings where they feel like they have to rally for positioning or what they're asking for and stuff like that. And it's much more of a competitive environment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can see that. And she's also 9. So I'm already, when she's
I could only think of the things that I wanted at 9, bro. I'm like, I need a Lambo. Yeah. I'll take a whole army outfit. I want, fake guns to shoot real BBs, dude, line up, bro. I want new skateboards.
Somebody tells me by 13, she's going to have this brand of this thing. Yeah.
Take what it's worth now.
That. I'm sure that's all coming.
Your next Christmases will be expensive.
And it's funny. It's going to be interesting to see how I navigate that, because I remember a couple times when I was younger. I remember one time we were at a beach, maybe in Florida, when I was a little kid, and I don't remember all the circumstances, but the only pair of shorts that we had at that time were these weird, super short shorts. Oh no, it was a Speedo. It was a Speedo.
That escalated.
My parents were like, yo, you got to wear a Speedo.
For the record, Speedos are not shorts.
Yeah. And I was like, no. And they made me wear a Speedo. And I'm like, I'm never going to do that to my kid. No. Yeah. I still remember that.
Yeah.
It's traumatizing to wear a Speedo.
I'm sure she does too. She's probably yo, no, never again.
But there's, I guess the short answer is, I want my daughter, when she does get things, it's almost like a pat on the back.
That's dope. It's funny because I speak to quite a few dads. Obviously, I want to get a ton of traction. I want to get a ton of different perspectives. But I think every single parent that I've spoke to is really excited about sharing and exposing their child to financial literacy and an understanding of how to utilize currency, how to have, investments, what investments mean, credit cards, how not to get yourself in debt, school, whether that's a good decision, whether you're going to financially dig a hole, if it's going to pay off, student loans and everything like that. So I think it's cool, man, that like this generation of parents are really focused on exposing their children to financial responsibilities at an early age, because I don't feel like we were.
No.
I don't feel like that was ever even a topic of discussion. And I don't even know how I learned about credit cards or financing a car until I did it, right? And I just kind of walked in blind and was like, yes, I want that fucking Buick Riviera or whatever, you know? And
like, cool, that was 27% sound.
Yeah. All of a sudden,
I got you 27%.
Yeah, all of a sudden a $3,000 Buick,
Yeah.
Cost me $9,000 on the back end. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. I think like if you would ask me when I was like 20, like, hey, like, tell me what a mortgage is, I would have been like, I don't know, I've heard that word, but like it is. We got to teach our kids that they don't, like, our schools don't do a great job at teaching those things. Like we do, like we got to teach the life. We got to teach life, like this is for me as a grown up day number, like, I don't know, like 25,000 of not using algebra. Bam. No algebra again today. Sweet.
Yeah.
But you do want to retire someday. You do want to set yourself up for success. So yeah, like we got to I think that's incumbent on us as parents to walk our kids through that stuff.
It's hugely important, man. And also I think with more like-minded parents who are invested in their children's lives and upbringing and financial security and overall just well-being, like we can get there together, man. Like it really does take a lot of us to work together.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, dude. Well, I mean, we're running out of time here, man, but thank you so much, dude, for coming out. I love you, bro. It's great to catch up with you, man.
That was awesome.
We definitely got to get the kiddos together. And I'm sure there's like, dude, we barely even scratched the surface as far as like how deep these conversations can go and where they'll lead us, man. I'd love to invite you back to the show. I'd love to have you back on, man. You can even bring your shorty if you'd like, man. And I want to get the viewers an opportunity to see the dynamic between parents and children, man. I actually brought Carradine on and we did a show.
Oh, cool.
That was really cool, man. And actually insightful
Can't
talking
wait
to
to
her about what school is like for a kid to go to school, because that's,
I can't even.
yeah, I mean, it's the same, but it's different, but still mind bending in every way that you could imagine. So, anyways, dude, thank you so much for joining us, man. I appreciate you, bro. Steve Faulkner, my boy, another dope dad. To everybody out there, listeners, viewers, thanks for tuning in to another episode. We hope you love what you saw today. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. Until next time, keep it real. Thank you for joining us on the Dope Dad Podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to share it with a friend. You can support the show by giving a like, sharing, and subscribing, and you can find us on YouTube or wherever you're getting your podcast fix. If there's content you'd like to hear more of, please leave a comment. We'll make sure we try to get it in the show. Continue to tune in for more dope guests and real conversation.